everyone. In this video I'm going to show you some of the footage from my efforts to make a porch, which you can see right here, for the dollhouse. I'm not going to show you everything. I didn't even absolutely record everything. It would go on forever and ever. It was a pretty long project, but I did record some parts, and I did save some footage to try to put together something so you can see at least some portion of how that project went. And then I have a part 2 coming up, which will show a little bit more of it and the final result. So come along and bear with me while I make a lot of decisions and change my mind a lot and get a little frustrated. Alright, time to do some planning. So, these are the railings, which obviously I'm going to need to cut so that the doorway, I can put a step here and have access to the door. Do I want to also use a column in the corner? I think it makes sense. I think that this corner would be supported by a column in a real house, don't you think? So if I do one there, do I want one here as well for just sort of symmetry? Maybe not right up against the corner. Maybe like right there or something. No. Right up against the corner. I had originally thought of putting columns. These columns are all too big right now. They need to be cut down, so I just am balancing them on the table. I had originally thought of putting columns also here. Okay. And here to frame the door. But I don't think I like that because it obscures the view of the little carriage lamps, which do light up. Okay. I want the carriage lamps to show, so I think I will only do the pillars in those two corners. And then I have this piece of railing that I trimmed down to go at the top here, which I really love that. I'm really happy with that effect right there. I also got some gingerbread pieces, which I thought I might include in the corners. We'll see. I can decide on that later. Okay. So I think that's what I'm going to do, and then there'll be the same treatment up here, but without the opening to get to a door. All right, so that is the plan. So as far as cutting these, oh, and another thing, I normally paint my trim pieces, and I painted all the balustrades and everything before I cut them, and then I still have to do this, but I'll go back and touch up any cuts and, adjustments that I've made, and give it sort of a final coat of paint. I'm going to try it differently this time. I'm going to try to assemble it first and then paint it afterward and see how I feel about that. Now, as far as these columns go, as I said, they're too big to fit in that opening, and I knew that when I got them, and that was actually fine with me because I wanted to be able to adjust them, cut them to adjust them where it suited me. So I think I really just want to leave, let's see, I think I want to leave the bottom at the height that it is. Nah, I want to bring it down a little bit. Well, I don't know. Okay, I need two hands, and I can't really get my tripod on the bed without it bouncing all over, so I'm going to look at this off camera for a minute. Alright, I've marked all my posts and labeled them with TB, for example, top back corner, bottom back corner, and so forth. Now, I'm going to make a little extra work for myself. And I'm going to cut all of these a little bit taller than I marked them, because I did notice that when I was holding them up against the house, the trim comes a little bit lower than the actual ceiling where these will be glued. So I'm going to cut all of these a little bit larger, a little bit longer. And the reason I say I'm making extra work for myself is I'm going to be kind of generous about that, and then recut them once I can kind of maneuver them into place without all of this excess length, and see, you know, how snug the fit is and how much more I need to take off. So I might be cutting these 2 or 3 times to get them accurate, but I'd rather start with too much, because you can always take off a little more. I don't want to take off too much in the beginning and then I'm kind of stuck. Doing this with my miter saw and block, and I'm giving myself about an extra 1/8 of an inch, or maybe one and a, you know, roughly 1.5 millimeters. Not quite an eighth of an inch. Doing that's funny. Yeah, about 1.5 millimeters. I'm doing better at measuring millimeters these days than I am at measuring inches. That's interesting. So it's not quite an 1/8 of an inch. Okay. These 2 posts fit in nice and snug over here. This one's just a smidgen loose, but the railing will hold it up, so it still looks like a good fit, and the railing will hold it in place. So my next step is to figure out where I'm going to cut the railings, and let's not do that upside down. if I cut this one right here. And this one. Right here. That gives me a good opening. Okay. I'm going to cut these two pieces. Okay. Just going to put a little piece of tape right there to just hold it temporarily. It looks so cool. I feel like these are a little, kind of cut a little blunt, but I think what I'm going to do is put a little bead or something up here just to give it some sort of, I don't know, sense of being the end of the railing instead of just having been chopped abruptly. I think that there's a little bead right there and right there that will make these look a little better. And maybe I should have cut these ends a little bit, you know, like a millimeter or a millimeter and a half further out. But I don't know. I think in the grand scheme of things it's going to be just fine. So let's see how the top piece is going to work into this. So these, ideally these pieces would line up with the bottom, but that's just not possible because of how I had to cut them for the gap. I think it's probably more important that I just center this at the top. So, pencil is never where I need it. Alright, I actually want to make sure that this corner is properly aligned here before I do the top piece, because I want these to be in line with each other. I want this corner to be in line with both this end and this end. So I need to cut a piece right in there. And this is where it's going to get a little dicey because that's a tricky angle and it's going to knock the camera out of position for me to get in there. So let's see if I can do it without messing things up too much. Just going to take this off for a moment to get it out of my way. Okay, so as usual, I'm making this up as I go along. I think that the next thing I ought to do is glue these two pieces together on a flat surface, glue these four pieces together also on a flat surface with my angle things, I can't think what they're called, to make sure that I have a good square corner here. Then I'm going to put them back in place and figure out how much to cut off of each end of this. Oh, this is so exciting. This is making me nervous, of course, but I'm beginning to see how it's going to come together, and I'm really loving it. So let's go glue. Right, those two pieces are glued. This section, the corner, is going to have to wait until this is good and dry. So I think what I will do now, while I wait for this to dry, is start working on the second story porch. I did the measurements for the upstairs porch, and if I line these columns all up the same way, this piece fits exactly right. I mean, oh, that is so lucky. Okay, so I'm going to tape and glue this one. Alright, this is the front of this one, so I need to put the side onto this one. One more tape. Did it again. Upside down. I'm going to go ahead with the corner piece. That one's taped in there really well, so I think it's okay. Bottom, top, okay. I get so excited when I'm working on these things, when I'm working on things that start to look cool or, you know, pretty. I just want to get it done so I can see it, and then I start rushing. Bad idea. Alright, I think that's as far as I can go right now until some more glue dries. Okay, it fits, so I'm going to take this out and glue the last piece in. Okay, that's the end of part 1. Part 2 should be coming up before too many days, I hope. Then I am moving from there to the inside of the dollhouse. Can't wait.